Sometimes we laugh, sometimes we cry, but we know no matter what, we'll always have the time to talk about the wastelands, talk about the Lord, talk about surviving radiation storms, talk about the doubts, talk about the fears, talk about the game we all love. It's Fallout through the years. That Fallout show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 12 of That Fallout Show. I'm Shaline, and with me today is Vendortron.
Welcome, sir or madam.
And unfortunately, Rick could not join us today. He is very under the weather, although his Sharon the Ghoul is impression is just on point right now.
Oh, man.
Just
Yeah.
incredible.
Hey, smooth skin.
Yeah, you should hear him. He recites Gob's poetry, and it's amazing. It's amazing.
Oh,
Anybody who didn't play Fallout 3 is just so confused right now.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, we miss Rick. We hope he feels better. And but we're here. We're here anyway. We're going to do a podcast. Before we get rolling, though, we would like to mention that our friends over at ASA Podcasting and the Fallout feed are hosting their annual cystic fibrosis charity live stream on December 8th from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Time. We have helped them out with that in the past. We are unable to attend this year due to some prior commitments. But we hope that you'll all go down and support them and donate to a very good cause. Good people doing a good thing for a good cause. So definitely help them out.
Absolutely.
December 8th, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And yeah, we appreciate it if you could just drop us a host if you're watching live. And if you're not watching live, share this show on your social media. Send us an email. Spread the word. Spread the good word of That Fallout Show. And yeah, we've got a good show for you today planned. We have some news, some very, very salty news. Lots of things going on with Fallout 76. This has been an extremely controversial launch. We have some gameplay stories. We have about 9 billion challenge entries to roll through and a new challenge. We're going to talk a little bit about some things that we like about this new Fallout 76, and some things that we wish they would improve upon. We've got a lore segment, a weapon of the week, some emails, and a rare bird indeed, a snail mail. We got a letter that we would like to read. But before we do any of that, we would like to thank on air the people who leave us 5-star reviews on iTunes. Vendortron, who are those people?
I'd love to go on to that list, Shaline. Just before, though, I want to mention we had the Bethesda and Fallout 76 logos at the beginning of the show tonight. Just want to reiterate that we're not sponsored by Bethesda. Nor the Fallout 76 franchise.
Yeah.
So 5-star review shoutouts from the United States. We've got Jim Bass, Ian Richard Roberts, John in Fremont, and MJ Demon. From Great Britain, we've got Joe Oko, Joe Oko, Nickel Hucka.
Wow, you did
that
really
right?
well with that.
Okay,
I am
good.
quite impressed. Yeah, I was just really grateful that it wasn't going to be me having to try and pronounce that one, but
I feel like that one was on purpose.
it had to be an intentional troll, and what an excellent troll it was.
Yeah.
Thank you for the 5-star review and for the friendly little troll there.
I'm going to name my firstborn after.
Wow, that would be a great name for an
Hey,
infant.
Joe Oko, Joe Oko, Heckle Hicka. Get over here.
He's not going to know how to spell it until he's like 14.
Nor is anybody else.
Oh,
Anyways.
that was great.
How are you doing, Shaline?
Oh, I'm doing terribly, actually. I had a really bad week.
You can't say that on the
My
show.
head is killing me. Like, oh, I've got the headache and the negative feelings, but I'm trying to let it all go. Let it all go, because we're having podcast time. You know what this calls for?
those are my positive vibes. Oh, the sitar.
The sitar. Why isn't the sitar working? Oh, well. The sitar didn't work. That was sad. There was no sitar noise.
Oh, well.
How sad. But yeah. How are you? How are you?
It's the busiest time of the year. Some say it is the most wonderful time. I would have to disagree. Yeah, it's ridiculous. I just found out that I have 2 months to submit my PhD application.
Ooh.
Yeah. So.
That's exciting, though, isn't it?
Well, because we have a 2-week break, I actually have like a month and a half. So. Yeah.
That's not much time. Not much
Stressed.
time at all.
Yeah.
Well, let's relieve some of that stress. You know what my favorite stress relieving thing is? It's Fallout news.
Oh, let's go into the news.
If you like news, you're gonna love our next segment.
What is going on in the world of Fallout this week?
Well, this week on the Nuclear News Network, we've got the Collector's Edition Bag Kerfuffle. And it's actually headlined for $200 Fallout 76 Edition Promised Fancy Bag, which delivers nylon trash instead. What? I'm unfamiliar with this story, Shaline.
Okay, so when they were promoting the Fallout 76 Collector's Edition with the Power Armor helmet, they had this picture. I should have queued it up to show on the video version of the show. It was like this nice canvas duffel bag. You know, it looked like you could use it as a gym bag or an overnighter. It looked like a really cool, like kind of military style West Tech bag. And when it got here, I was opening up my collector's edition stuff. It was really fun. I got to the bag, and it's this really thin, shiny, cheap nylon material.
Okay.
And it's like basically just a dust cover for the helmet. You know, you could not use this bag for anything else and not look like a total piece of trash doing it. So that was disappointing. And yeah, if you want to go ahead and click through to the article there, people are upset. People are very upset. They've reached out to Bethesda about it, and Bethesda gave the following response. Due to unavailability of materials, we had to switch to a nylon carrying case in the Fallout 76 Power Armor Edition. We hope this doesn't prevent anyone from enjoying what we feel is one of our best collector's editions. Warm regards. So yeah, they knew they were going to use this different material, and they said nothing.
I remember reading something about this on Twitter. Somebody had complained about it, and the person at their support center said something rather ominous.
Yeah.
She said something about like, we're not planning to do anything about it or something. Or they. I'm not sure if it was a female, but
right.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And what they've done in the face of all this controversy as a response is they have offered anyone who purchased the collector's edition 500 atoms in the Atom Store for Fallout 76. Which is
how much is that
good.
In real money?
It's about $5. It's about $5.
Well, that's about all that the bag is worth.
Yeah, it's not very much, and yeah, it feels so inconsiderate, and to me, I don't know, guys, I don't know. It feels like almost disrespectful that they've offered 500 atoms as restitution for this. And not only did they offer this 500 atoms, you have to jump through hoops to get it. You know, it's kind of a long procedure.
Do you think that the fact that people aren't too happy with the game itself kind of builds on that?
I absolutely do, because I remember when Fallout 4 came out, I pulled my Pip-Boy out of the bag, and the button just like broke immediately, and there was like a piece dangling off, and it was kind of a piece of trash. And everyone that I talked to also immediately broke the button and had pieces dangling off, and nobody was really that worried about it because there wasn't all this other horrible stuff going on. I don't know. But one thing I do want to mention is that some people on the internet have been advising Fallout 76 players to not accept this 500 atoms because it could be considered legal restitution. And if they do something else in the future, having accepted the 500 atoms could preclude you from taking part in a further restitution.
God, what a disaster.
Mm-hmm. It is indeed.
Well, you know what else is a disaster, Shaline?
I don't know, actually.
Fallout 76 bobby pins.
What's wrong with the bobby pins? I've used them. I picked plenty of locks. They work fine.
They're about 60 times heavier than the actual bobby pins.
What?
Yes, in Fallout 4, you used to actually be able to carry around many bobby pins, but apparently in Fallout 76, they actually weigh more, and of course, as subsequently you can carry less. So 10 bobby pins weighs about a pound.
Wow.
Making each individual digital pin over 60 times heavier than the actual one. And this is coming out of a Kotaku story. Indeed, I agree that they're heavy.
This is
and
like a return to the zany Kotaku news.
One thing they need to do is make it easier to lockpick.
You think?
So that you use less pins, because if they weigh 1,000,000 pounds, I don't know. I'm just still mad that the stash weight is 400, and I know that they said they're gonna up it, but
I'm just imagining, like, it takes me probably, or back in the day when I had long hair. I have short hair now, but back in the day when I had long hair, it took about 10 bobby pins when I wanted to put my hair up. It took about 10 pins to hold it in place. That would be a pound in Fallout 4. So every Fallout 4 or Fallout 76 character, Fallout 76, every Fallout 76 character that you make wear an updo has got a pound of bobby pins in her hair.
yeah. That's like, so what, like 60 bobby pins is like what is that? Like,
6
you know,
pounds?
a power armor
yeah.
torso or something.
6 pounds. That weighs like more than a gun.
It's not logical. But it never really was. Fallout never really was logical.
You know what else isn't logical?
Fallout
76 was on sale as low as $29.99, half price, the week after the game launched.
That's bad.
Yeah.
That means nobody's buying it.
This is super not going well, this launch. It's super not going well.
I feel like did they not expect that?
Well, plainly not. Plainly not.
You know, they changed so much, and nobody wanted that change. The only thing I would have been happy with that they changed was, like, the game itself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know. Yeah.
Captain Bones in chat says that was just holiday sales. It's back up to $60 now. But
Black Friday?
Still, a Black Friday sale for a brand new game? Like, I'm thinking $10 off, $15 off.
Well, if it was $30 where you guys are, it was still $60 in Canada. So, I don't know what you're complaining about. Oh, man. Well, there's got to be some improvements. Right?
Right. And improvements have been made. A patch has been issued for Fallout 76.
Yes, I was reading through this.
Patch notes?
Yeah, let's go through them.
Go forth.
My link is still loading.
So, So, several performance issues were addressed. This was the patch that released on November 19th. Stability, and on Xbox, they fixed an issue that could lead to instability in the menus. In terms of graphics, ambient occlusion, placed items no longer leave behind shadow outlines after being picked up. Camera, the game camera now pans more smoothly when the player enters furniture. And the cover of Tesla Science magazine issue 9 no longer appears solid red on pickup.
Oh.
In terms of enemies, they fixed an issue in which some enemies could chase the player farther than intended. In terms of loot, ghoul and scorched officers now correctly drop nuke code pieces when killed by a player.
They were not correctly dropping them before?
Apparently not. Apparently not. Blueprints for camps. They fixed an issue that could cause blueprints to break into smaller parts after logging out and logging back in.
Rick was mentioning he had that issue.
Yes, it was very bad. His poor little camp. Paints that are applied to power armor during the Fallout 76 beta will now appear correctly on the items that were painted, and those paints can now correctly be applied to additional sets of power armor. They also fixed an issue that could cause an item to return to a broken state after being repaired. And here's a big one. You remember that token dispenser at the fort that was unfixable?
Yeah.
It can now be repaired. So that's a good thing for sure. Players who have pacifist mode who engage in PvP by contesting a workshop owned by another player will now correctly deal full damage to that player as long as they remain hostile. Choosing the respawn option after dying during PvP combat will now correctly clear any active hostile status toward other players.
That's good.
When you seek revenge, cap rewards will now display correctly when you choose the seek revenge respawn option after being killed by another player. And when you are targeted by another player who is seeking revenge, the reward amount will now display the correct number of caps that can be earned. There were also some user interface improvements. Korean fonts will be displayed correctly. The take photo hotkey can no longer be rebound and is now tied to the spacebar on PC and the A button on controllers. And they fixed an issue that could cause the take snapshot button in photo mode to display an incorrect hotkey. Also, some friend list issues were corrected. And I don't know about you, but I installed this patch and I expected that my video game would run better, and I found that my video game was worse.
Oh, man.
I think on PC, on Xbox, I haven't really had very many problems. But on PC, every patch has made performance worse.
I haven't played it for a while, so I honestly don't even know.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's really terrible. I hope that that's not the case for everyone. I hope that that's just the case for me.
But that's not the only set of patches, right?
Right. There is an upcoming patch planned for December 4th. That is next week from when we are recording this show. And they've released the patch notes for this patch. So, do you want to roll through those or shall I?
Sure, I can roll through them. If my link is loading, here we go. So they're doing some general performance work. So PC frame rates are once again uncapped. However, reaching very high frame rates will no longer cause movement speed to increase. They tried to originally fix this November 19th, but I guess it didn't work. Stability issues, they're looking at the game client itself and servers receiving additional stability improvements. In terms of your camp, they are going to increase the maximum stash storage by 50% to 600 pounds. So they believe that this is a conservative adjustment, and they plan to increase that further in the future once they can determine that it isn't going to affect the stability of the game itself.
That is fantastic news.
In terms of balance, when it comes to enemies, XP rewards for killing high-level creatures has been reduced or will be reduced. Bosses, they fixed an issue affecting instance boss loot, so Players should be able to receive 2 to 4 items per boss, depending on the creature's difficulty and the level. Weapons, the automatic weapon damage has been increased by approximately 20% across the board. In the realm of PvP weapon effects, they're hitting another player with a cryolator now applies a chilled, frosted, or frozen status based on how many times they are hit. The duration of the movement speed reductions applied have been decreased. So that's, I'm not sure if that's a bad thing or a good thing. In terms of bug fixes in stability and performance, they're fixing an issue that could cause the player to encounter an infinite load screen when signing out of the console. And I know that on PC we've had that issue.
Right.
On Xbox, they're going to be addressing a crash that could occur when sending multiple team invites immediately after exiting the vault to a player who is not a friend. That sounds like there's a story there. In terms of general bug fixes with power armor, they're going to be fixing an issue that affects power armor frames that could prevent the player from actually exiting armor. And they're also going to be looking at the nuke silos and how they will no longer display the launch codes too soon after the codes are reset for the week. In terms of the camp for bugs, they're going to be correctly fixing how you move your camp locations. So if you move your camp, it will move standalone items built by the player into the build menu's store tab, which I imagine is kind of a build on the previous fix that we have already.
Right.
Workshops on PS4, wires will no longer appear to float in midair. Turrets will no longer become visible if the player is not present at the camp. Become invisible when they're destroyed. In terms of perk cards, ranking up a perk card will no longer cause a duplicate card to appear. And in the social realm, they are going to be fixing an issue that could prevent a team from being correctly formed in a game world after creating the team on the main menu. If both players are using new characters, that seems like a really meaningless fix, but whatever. They will be displaying durations of social notifications, which will be reduced when the notifications are pending. So this should actually help address any issues which players do not see that they successfully joined a team. In terms of survival mutations, the electrically charged and unstable isotope mutations no longer provide bonus health, which sucks because I love those mutations. User interface, AFK players will no longer be disconnected from a game after 10 minutes of inactivity. And they will be prompted with a timer 1 minute before being kicked. This is not a new thing. I was prompted with a timer after 10 minutes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well,
So maybe it's a console thing. I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know.
Atomic Shop. On PC, cursor positions will no longer be disjointed from the clicks. I found this problem. I also found this actually in the Pip-Boy as well.
Mm-hmm.
Enemies, red crosshairs, and enemy health bars will no longer persist on screen when an enemy is no longer in view. I've had that issue before. Localization, subtitles will now appear correctly, and the English voiceover will play for game clients in different languages that do not have their own localized voiceover when listening to a holotape and interacting with robots. This was a huge issue. They are also fixing a Pip-Boy issue that causes duplicate data to appear in the Pip-Boy's stat and effects interface.
Mm-hmm.
And for respawning, dying while severely over encumbered won't actually remove markers from the map when attempting to respawn.
Yeah, that was a real problem people were having.
Mm-hmm. Instead, the player can now respawn at the nearest discovered map marker. And the last thing on the list, quest trackers. So the objective notifications for your quests will no longer appear for inactive quests immediately upon connecting to a world. So it seems like a lot, but I don't know if any of it is really going to make a difference. We'll see.
I just hope it doesn't make it worse. The beta ran so beautifully for me on PC, and every update has just made it worse, and like almost to the point of unplayability. It's been bad.
Yeah.
I have had a really good experience on Xbox though. It's been very smooth on console. So, in addition to these patches, there's still some more improvements in store, huh?
Yeah, so the nice thing about patches and video game patches is that it allows the opportunity for the developer or the makers of the video game to actually communicate to you effectively. And so one of the things that Bethesda has kind of decided that they want to make a better effort at is communicating.
Right.
And so they've kind of sent out a note on their Bethesda Fallout 76 Reddit forum.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to read what they're telling everybody. So we know you're frustrated and angry at the state of things right now, whether it's the issues you're running into in the game or the lack of communication about fixes, updates, or news. To be clear, this account is run by us, Bethesda Game Studios community team. Yesterday, we posted to let you know that we're still here gathering your feedback and, more importantly, working to get info from the team we can share. We didn't want you to think the silence meant nothing was happening. We're sorry and understand this was not the right approach, and we'll work to make a better bridge between you and the dev team at BGS. We're posting an article today that has further information about the upcoming updates that we mentioned a few weeks ago, the patches that we talked about. In addition, we're aiming to get you the patch notes for these updates quicker, and we'll have them available December 4th, probably Thursday or Friday. We'd like to make these articles weekly to make sure you know what the studio is working on as it relates to issues. You may be experiencing quality of life requests you have or new features they're excited to share. Please take a look at the below. So then they go on to make some specific points about stash limit increases, boss loot, some of the respawning issues, being stuck in power armor.
Those are the December 4th things that we just read.
Yeah, those are the patch updates.
And down here, they mentioned some things further on down the line the week of December 11th.
Yeah, so on December 11th, like previous patches, they want to include other bug fixes and make some more noticeable changes to the game. So December 11 patch notes include PC additions. So they're going to have push-to-talk setting for voice chat, 21:9 ratio resolution support, and a field of view setting are all being implemented on PC, thank God.
I'm really excited for having a push-to-talk button.
Yeah.
Sometimes I want to talk, but I don't want to just have... I have a noisy house. I don't want people to just be listening to the background noises of my home when I'm playing a video game.
Shaline, you want Pop-Tarts?
Exactly. Grandma's watching Walker, Texas Ranger, Chuck Norris in the background. Nobody wants to hear that. I'm trying to play Fallout.
They're also doing a special respec. So after level 50, you'll be able to choose between a new perk card or moving a special point you had previously allocated.
Oh, neat.
In terms of the camp placement and login, your camp will no longer be automatically blueprinted and stored if someone is occupying your location when you log into a server. So if you decide to basically find a new home for your camp on that server, you'll be free to do so. However, if you don't attempt to place down your camp, you will be able to switch to a new server where that spot is vacant. Your camp will be able to, it'll just be there.
That's good.
So, and then there's they're adding a new camp feature that'll actually allow you to move small trees and rocks. Thank God. And other obstructions, because this would made it it made it impossible to place anything down. So you can also use a bulldozer to clear the items from the surrounding area to make your camp feel more like home. So that's nice. So it's kind of nice that they're communicating. What do you think, Shaline?
I think that they are working very hard to improve the game, which is a good thing. I think a lot of the ill will could have maybe been avoided if they had sort of called this an early access game. If they had told us off the bat, hey, we're not done. We're not done making this
Yeah.
video game. It needs
Well,
some
it's
more
like I said
time in the
previous
oven, but
episode,
we're going to
they
let you
never
play
should
it
have
anyway.
labeled it. They never should have labeled it official release.
Yeah. A lower price point and an early access tag, I think, would have cleared up an awful lot of the ill will.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is not, it shouldn't have released like this. It just shouldn't have. But at the same time, I think there's also been a little bit of overreacting happening as well. Just because it's like this now, doesn't mean that there's not hope for this game. I remember back, those of us who lived through the launch of Fallout New Vegas,
Mm-hmm.
that game like hard locked my Xbox so many times. I used to have to go unplug it. Like it was to restart, and it was a disaster. It was a total disaster at launch. It was unacceptably broken. And for many people, Fallout 76 has been unacceptably broken, but that doesn't mean that it's going to stay that way. So, yeah, I think it's good that Bethesda is willing to talk about what they're planning.
Yeah, I can understand people's frustrations, and like, it's not that gamers don't know anything about games. It's just that I feel like a lot of the time, it depends on the person, of course, but it's that they know enough to be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I try to think about the people that are actually running Bethesda, right? And you have there's a lot of, it's a big corporation. They make a lot of money. They have different departments. The developers are responsible for designing the content and the game itself. Then you have the CEOs and the executives who are controlling the content. And so there's a huge disconnect there. I really don't know. I think I don't like it any more than you do, but I think like when it comes to these larger corporations, games are really changing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a change from it's like, if you think back to the 90s, it's gone from small scale projects to these massive productions that are bigger than movies. And the average cost of games now is like, what, 40-50 times that of what it was 20 years ago?
I disagree. Oh, you mean of making games?
Yeah, making
Yeah.
a game.
The cost has really raised in terms of
Like in the older, simpler days, you probably had,
well, games were made by like one guy,
yeah, you had a team of like 5 people.
Yeah.
Now it's like a $500 million production. You've got a dev team of 40 people.
So Joseph Tao brings up a really good point. He says, I really don't want a big publisher setting a precedent for early access AAA games. I would rather them just delay the game and actually QA their games. And I would frankly rather wait another 6 months or a year and get a game that works. I really would.
Well, I mean, that's the traditional approach.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they've been doing all along.
Mm-hmm.
But it still wasn't any better, do you think?
Well, that's not what they've been doing, or the game wouldn't have launched like this,
Yeah, it's true.
They had to know, they were playing it at the office. They had to know that some of these problems existed. Surely they're not that, that with blinders, surely they saw that, their vegetation was extremely flat and there were performance issues. And, I just think they had to know some of these things were going along.
Well, I think so. Games require massive teams, takes years of development. And I think that this change that's happening right now is happening maybe a little bit too fast. And that big companies like Bethesda, I don't think they are really equipped to truly understand the economics behind it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that it makes it easier on anybody's end, but I think that from the development standpoint, I don't entirely blame the developers, just because, they're really only doing what they can within the constraints of what the higher ups have allowed them to do.
Mhm.
So, and I think the ones who control the money within the business are the ones who have the greatest influence on the product.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
and the devs, they love video games just like us. That's why they're devs. And so, they want to make it great, but they do what they can because they must. And
Mhm.
I don't know. But I don't think, I don't know. There's too much volatility in the gaming industry this year with like Telltale going down and like Star Wars being tossed around to different companies. And
Yeah, it has been. It has been a really dramatic year. It's been a really dramatic year. So some newcomer to the chat, Rick McVick, says everything going on with Bethesda feels like a higher up making bad calls, and the lower
That's
employees
exactly it.
just saying,
Yeah.
"Okay, fine, we'll do it your way." I think that's a really interesting way to look at it. I think
Yeah, that's
probably
exactly what
accurate.
I think is happening. Yeah.
Speaking of things that are happening, Bethesda's legal team has been in training all year. Do you want to tell us about the main event that's coming up here?
And boy, are they prepared from this training because they're getting sued.
Yes.
Possibly sued. So, a law firm that goes by Maglacio and Rathod LLP is currently begun investigating and soliciting clients for a possible class action lawsuit against Bethesda over Fallout 76. And so, according to the firm's class action page, they're actually wanting to represent people who bought the game, were unhappy with the quality of the product itself from a technical aspect, and the issues behind the refunds and being refused refunds on the product itself. So, which that's some pretty hairy stuff. Class action lawsuits over video games isn't new, though, right?
Certainly not. Certainly not.
So, I mean, look at EA
Mm-hmm.
over Battlefield 4.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you think? Would you join a class action lawsuit against Bethesda?
No, I would join a lobby to develop policies around the video game industry and what companies can and cannot do.
Mm.
I think that would have greater impact. For instance, online purchases of in-game content,
Mm-hmm.
and there needs to be a policy or a procedure in place for how games are developed and released to the public.
Yeah. I think this class action lawsuit is a little silly. It was made pretty clear that this game was not Fallout 5, that it was going to be a very different experience. And I think, when have you ever purchased a Bethesda game and not have problems? It seems. I don't, and why would you purchase something without being aware of the refund policy? That's the first thing I do when I purchase anything. Before I ever make a purchase, I check if I can return it. And if that's something that you're concerned about, I think you need to know what you're getting into sometimes. And it was a risk. Fallout 76 was a huge risk for Bethesda, and it was a huge risk for the gamers. I ordered 2 copies. It was a huge risk to do that. I ordered the collector's edition with the crappy bag and the power armor helmet, but it also came with like little green army men, and I loved them a lot. So that was cool. But
Again,
I think this
it's
is
not that they know nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that the people buying the games know nothing about the games. It's just that they know enough to be wrong. And I think what we're dealing with is a very diverse demographic of people. And I would be curious to see the proportion of people raising all of these concerns in forums and complaining, what is the demographic? What are the characteristics of these people? Are they younger?
Yeah.
You know, how old are they? What are their ages?
Airy Twitch in the chat brings up a really great point. If they were so worried about their money, they could have waited for the reviews. And you know what? That's another thing, you know. A lot of there's this culture that you have to pre-order, you know, in gaming. You have to pre-order, you have to be part of the conversation the very first day. And Bethesda really capitalized on that with tying beta access to a pre-order. Which I think was a little deceptive because the beta was not necessarily open all the time the way that they indicated it might be. It was also sort of a demo releasing just a couple weeks before the game came out, not in time to implement any real change based on beta feedback. But you know, we the gamer, we fuel this by buying in. We do these pre-orders. You know, maybe it's time. Maybe it's time that we quit pre-ordering games. Maybe it's time that we wait and make a game prove that it's going to be worth our money before we pre-order.
I think there's a certain degree of public deception there.
Yeah.
Because it becomes like when you think about, you know, game reviews, for example, there's a lot of close interaction between the publisher of the game or the maker and game reviewers or journalists. Like, you can't tell me that at some convention the journalists waiting to try the games are going and trying the game from the start.
Mm-hmm.
They're starting it, the developers are putting them in front of a TV or a monitor in the middle of, you know, like level 50, all these guns, all these different interactions in the game because they want it to be interesting, because they want to influence the review. They want to make their game sound good. So, I don't know. I think there's a lot of...
Excuse me, guys.
Choking on your tea.
I inhaled some green tea. It was not nice. Yeah. So is that it for the news this week?
Yeah.
Okay, we do have a bit of non-news in the Post-National Enquirer segment. This is an excerpt. It's a note from Joseph Tao that he left in this week's news drop. For those of you who maybe are new to the show, Joseph Tao is one of our moderators, and he helps us curate news articles for this podcast and also GameStack. Shout out to Joseph Tao. He sometimes puts some commentary in there, and this was absolutely worth sharing with the rest of you. He writes, I don't know if you noticed from the discussions on Fallout 76 nuke codes, but they only change them once a week instead of having a unique code randomly created from unique server values, or changing the codes after a launch has occurred. It seems so that once someone gets the codes, which they don't need to find all of them due to cipher solvers, for a week they get quickly posted online, and then people don't have to find the codes in the game any longer to launch nukes. Plus, if trolls want to, they can coordinate and drop 2 or 3 nukes at the same time, which kills a server without fail. Seriously? The codes are the same for everyone? I assumed the codes were some kind of RNG. Really, Bethesda?
I haven't played the game. I haven't played the game enough to know.
I mean, I haven't gotten to the nuke segment of the game yet either, but I really assumed that the codes were somehow randomly generated. Sort of. But no, you can just do a Google, get the codes, drop a nuke. Wow.
Well, we knew that was going to happen.
Wow.
I'm not surprised by that at all. Are you surprised by that?
I am absolutely surprised. This seems incredibly stupid. Just like...
Well, yeah, it's stupid, but of course people were going to put the codes on Google.
But no.
And then try it.
But vendor, they shouldn't be able to put the codes on Google and have them work.
Well, yeah. But somebody out there, you know, thought to themselves, hey, I wonder if I could use the same code.
Yeah, this is just, it's just, this is like, you know, when your password is password.
Cue the trash fire. Oh God.
That's just, it's like having the password to the nuclear launch be 000000, you know?
Mhm.
And we
1, 2,
all
3,
know that
4,
no
5.
one has ever done that. Of course, the United States nuclear launch codes were a bunch of zeros for multiple
Password
years.
is password.
That's my password too. Oh my goodness.
Seriously, though, I still think this is all one big social experiment. And the government told Bethesda, hey, you know what? If it flops, don't worry about it because we're going to pay you anyways.
That
Because
is
we want
just
all the data
amazing.
on all the people playing these games.
Just amazing. So I had another little post-National Enquirer. This is my own conspiracy theory time. Put on your tinfoil hats. Elder Scrolls Blades, the Elder Scrolls mobile game that was announced at E3, has been delayed to next year. It was supposed to come out before the end of 2018. And I was just wondering if that's because Bethesda Game Studios has called all hands on deck to fix Fallout 76. Drop what you're doing, guys. We gotta make this work.
Oh, man. I don't know. No, I think because so they were saying how they're not changing the engine.
Yeah,
Did you hear
for
about that?
Elder Scrolls 6 and what's the other one called?
Mhm.
Starfield?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that has something to do with why they delayed it.
Well, Elder Scrolls Blades, I assume, is using its own engine because it's on mobile. You know, I
Right,
assume
right,
it's
right.
doing something different.
But if it's part of Elder Scrolls 6, like if it's part of the development package or whatever.
I don't think so. I think it's
No?
completely separate.
Well, that's
But
interesting.
yeah, I just wondered if they were pulling people from other teams. Like, come on, guys, I need you to work on making these scorched, not have giraffe necks. You know.
We shall now call it Fallout 70 Fix.
Oh, that should have been the podcast name. Wow.
Oh,
Wow.
missed
We're
opportunity.
going to change that before we post the audio.
Fallout 70 Fix.
Write that down, Rick. Write that down.
Yeah.
So, Vendortron, let's talk about some video games.
Okay.
You been playing any Fallout 76 or Fallout of any kind?
I've been playing Virtual Stress Simulator. It's a really great game. You don't sleep. You work all day, 16 hours a day, and then you drink a bottle of wine under your desk, and you cry a little, and then you sleep, and then you get up, and you do it all over again. I'm on
Wow.
level 100.
I'm playing the same game. Oh my goodness.
Oh, really? I don't want to spoil it for you.
Yeah, except in my version of the game, I must have like an alternate version because it's bourbon instead of wine, you know.
Well, I have the Researcher DLC. So,
right.
Yeah.
Right.
You must have the Wild West DLC. just can't get enough of that Red Dead, hey?
But yeah, it's been 3 weeks. Have you played any Fallout in 3
I haven't
weeks?
touched a video game.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
awful.
I got the shakes, guys.
Maybe after the show we can do a video game.
Yeah.
Well, I have made some time for video games during my time off because I think I might have like murdered somebody otherwise, you know. I really needed it. And the video games, they were there for me. And I played a bunch of Fallout 76, you guys. So
Nice.
my PC character, Jim Justice, he's around level 26 or 27. And my Xbox character, who is Shaline, creatively named, she is about level 16 or 17. And I've been having a great time. So I spent like an entire Saturday a couple of weeks ago playing Fallout 76 with Rick, and it was really, really fun. You were there for an hour or two, but then you got busy. But we did the Mistress of Mystery quest line. I'm not going to spoil it for anybody, but man, that is a really beautifully written quest line, the Mistress of Mystery. It's really, really good. It's a very special quest, and there's great loot and a great story, and it was really fun. It took us the better part of the day to get through that quest, and it was super fun.
Can I just interrupt you for a second?
Sure.
I want to acknowledge that I played Fallout 76 with Taz.
Oh, how
in the
did that
chat.
go? I think
It
I
was a
watched some of that, didn't I?
It was a great time. We just like farted around and killed stuff and found stuff and helped people out. So that is my gameplay.
Neat. Yeah.
Hey, nice mug you got there.
Oh, I know. Isn't it great? Yeah, it's really patriotic, drinking out of the mug of another country.
Yeah, you should bring that to the next election poll station.
Oh my gosh, that would be so funny. So
Like-
for our audio folks, Vendortron sent me this mug. On one side, it has a maple leaf, and the other side, it says Canada. It's really pretty. I very much like this mug. It's fancy. Yeah, I spent also a lot of time playing on my Xbox character. I was doing the fire breathers, like obstacle course. There's kind of an obstacle course for joining the fire breathers faction. And I found it, I just stumbled across it, and I was like, yeah, this is great. I'm going to do this. This is going to be a good time. So I ran the obstacle course, and I wasn't fast enough. And so I did it another time, and I got bogged down fighting some super mutants. I was really bugged, so I tried again. And this time I had really mapped out my route. I was going to get it done. It was going to be good. I ran the obstacle course. I'm on the way down there, and a snallygaster just walks out
no.
right in front of me. And I was like, no.
Oh no.
And I was like, I'm not doing this again. I want to win. I want to win. So I was running. I was like, I'm just going to outrun this snallygaster. It's going to be fine. And it closed in on me and like bumped me in the head. And I assumed that it like licked my head, and I got snottier. Instant case of snottier, which was
Weird.
not nice. But I did escape the snallygaster and its disgusting, disgusting tongue. And I passed the fire breathers exam, and I was really excited. And then it said, oh, hey, you need to register at the fire station to join the fire breathers. I was like, oh, no. It's probably not even going to count what I just did.
You just wanted the hat though.
So I thought, okay, I'm going to make this happen. So I found the fire station and went to register to be one of the fire breathers, right? So I'm on the terminal, tappity tap tap, you know, I'm registering to become a fire breather. And this real player comes up behind me, a real person, and does not have himself muted, you know, he's chatting. And he's talking to his friend, and he's like, oh my gosh, this dude is doing the same quest that I am. And he's level 14. I'm level 35, and I'm having a hard time. And I was like feeling so good about myself. I was like, yeah, I'm lower level than this guy, and I'm just doing great at this quest. And it gives me... it lets me count the my score from the challenge, the physical challenge. It gives me a written test. I passed the written test. It's good. I've always been good at written tests. And it gives me this final exam. And you have to go to a location and basically survive, right? You know, to keep it vague. So I take off. And my hunting rifle is broken, right? So all I have is my boxing glove, but it's fine. I have a pretty high strength. This is going to be fine. I've got a boxing glove. I have some armor. This is going to be good. It's going to be good. So I head out to find this quest, and I'm still feeling like really bolstered by these guys talking about how I was low level doing this quest, and I'm feeling really good about myself, feeling cocky. And I get just a little bit of the way, maybe a quarter of the way toward my destination. And these scorched come out of this tent, right? And they're like level 32, level 33, level 36. And I'm level 14, and I have a boxing glove. And I made a valiant go of it. I don't have the death tambo on my Xbox character yet.
Oh.
Yeah, she's much lower level than Gem Justice is.
Right.
And I made a valiant go of it, but pretty soon those two guys were laughing their heads off as I went sprinting by the fire station, pursued by these 5 scorched, and they did not even help me. They did not even help me. I was so annoyed. Yeah.
That sounds funny. I could just see that in my mind, just like, run!
It was a run, Forrest, run moment. I was just like flat out sprint, it was,
Oh, man.
So I decided to do a more level appropriate mission. I went back to the main quest a little bit farther back, and no spoilers. I'm not going to say anything very specific spoilery, even though I think with a game like this, spoilers matter less than
Yeah.
yeah. So I was in this like medical center doing a quest, and I fought a bunch of scorched, but they were reasonably leveled for me to fight. So I killed them all. It was hard. There was a bunch of them, and I was really proud of myself at the end. And I thought, okay, I'm going to just take a nap, because there's this hospital room here. I'm just going to sleep. I'm going to recharge my health. It's going to be good. And I wake up, and I hear this noise. So I prepare my hunting rifle. I get it out. I make sure I'm all loaded up. And I step out into the hall, and there's a scorched, right? And I'm backed up kind of in a corner. So I turn and I shoot this scorched, and then like 5 scorched are all of a sudden right up in my face. And they're running at me, and I'm using the hunting rifle, which of course is very slow firing. And when you're using something as slow firing as the hunting rifle, you can't really afford to make mistakes. And I made mistakes, right? And I thought, this is it. This is the end. This is the end for me. I'm going to die. And then I hear, pap, 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 pap. And 2 of the ghouls drop, or scorched. I call them ghouls. I can't stop calling them ghouls. But 2 of the scorched just drop, right? And I turn my head, and there's this blonde vault dweller over there just like mowing through them, man. And then this scorched pops up right behind her, so I shoot it over her shoulder, just pap, drop it, 1 shot, headshot. I was excited.
Yeah.
And we're like back to back fighting these scorched, and it was so cool. We finished it. I gave her a thumbs up. She gave me a thumbs up. We finished the quest. It was really cool.
Yeah.
I really thought I was going to hate having random people in the game, but sometimes it's awesome. Sometimes
that
it's
happened
really
to me
awesome.
that happened to me with the miners.
Yeah.
I was like inundated with miners, and this guy came. He dropped out of the sky, Shaline. He must have jumped off the cliff above me.
Seriously, like in power armor?
No, he was just in like just whatever armor. And he literally rained fire on these miners, and it was just the best thing ever.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
I was heading later on. I was heading to that amusement park, the one with the big crocodile. I was heading that direction.
Have you tried the hot dogs?
Yes, they're delicious. Really, really great. Nothing like a good amusement park hot dog and a Nuka-Cola. But on the way down there, I saw this grafted monster, and I'm like, hey, grafted monster, that's the challenge this week. He's only level 10. I'm going to take out this grafted monster. It's going to be good. So I start firing at the grafted monster, and I was not up to fighting the grafted monster. Let me tell you what, Vendortron. Like, it started throwing pieces of the ground at me, and whew, I was getting hurt real bad. And then I hear just some like dude laughing, and then I hear gunfire, and it's the 2 guys from the fire station.
They're like, this girl again. Now look at her.
They rolled in and saved me from this grafted monster. And I just I wanted to be their friend. It was so funny, but they killed the grafted monster and kept on rolling, and it was so funny. It was a really cool experience. I never expected to see those dudes again. And then
that's one thing that I wish that, well, I'll talk about that later. Sounds like you had some really good gameplay.
Yeah, I had a really good time. There are a lot of problems. I had a lot of frustration with the game, But that didn't stand in the way of having an awful lot of fun along the way. You know, I really am enjoying the game.
So the challenge, you were able to do the challenge, or?
I didn't take a screenshot of that one because my health was low and I was so distracted by how awesome it was to run into these guys again. But I do have a challenge entry.
Ooh, let's roll it.
Shall we? Okay, let me just scoot my OBS over. Here's Captain Bones. He says tag him and bag him. He's got his Grafton monster there. The Grafton monster is so gross.
That's pretty great.
Do you want to read these? Can you?
Can't see it.
Can't see it? Okay.
No.
This one is from DM Vengon on Twitter. Super Mutant Assist. And he's posing next to the Grafton monster wearing a cop hat, a gas mask.
Pastor's vestments?
And the pastor's vestments.
Oh, yes. That's so great.
Gerfuffleson on Twitter says, hope I'm not too late. And he's standing next to his Grafton monster. He's used the Enclave frame for his photo. I assume that every photo he takes has got the Enclave frame on it.
Agreed.
I love his love for the Enclave. Game Boy Jake on Twitter has posted his Grafton monster. He is standing in a very military stance behind it.
Yeah, he looks like Stalin there or something.
He does kind of look like Stalin. Okay, Man of Custard on Twitter says, my first Grafton monster. Killed it in Grafton. Its head was too big to teabag, so I teapotted it instead.
Oh, man. I love that it's in the world's largest teapot frame.
I know. I love that teapot frame. It's so good. The world's largest teapot, man.
Kudos to the Vendortron in the background.
Ah, shout out.
Mm-hmm.
One of your cousins, I assume?
Probably.
Archin1123 says, I avoided him the last time I was in Grafton, but this time I took him down with a little super mutant assistance. Have you... Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, so super mutant assistance. So he must have, some super mutants must have come out of nowhere and, got into the fight with...
The town of Grafton is heavily infested with super mutants. Yeah, there's a lot of them. And I assume that he was doing the parade event and kind of kited them into the mutants.
God, I wish I had more time to play this game. I'm missing out on everything, you guys.
Mind1555 on Twitter says, managed to solo this level 40 boy while fighting off a horde of super mutants and angry protectrons and iBots. And just with my luck, he had no loot on him.
Oh, no.
That's terrible.
Avert my eyes.
Yes, there's a dead Protectron in the frame. So I actually, guys, Vendortron and his robot shtick, man, has infected me, and I cannot wear the robot armor in Fallout 76 because I feel like it's made from the skins of his cousins.
It's like the Fallout Buffalo Bill.
Yes. It's terrible. Rick says, oh, he was just avenging the Protectron that was killed by the monster.
Yes. Yeah, I always drop the robot loot, the robot armor.
Spectra_237 says, this is from the beta, but I haven't seen another since, surprisingly.
For our audio listeners, he's standing under a bridge, I think, in incomplete power armor. I think he's got a helmet on at least. And the Grafton monster is there in a ball of
goo.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like
they're so gross.
Skin folds and yeah, the Grafton monster is so ugly.
Philo Robo says, these bastards are always showing up outside the White Spring for me, and since my farm is on the grounds, they aren't hard to find. After kiting him to a car, he wasn't hard to get rid of, despite the robots not helping.
Hey, that's smart. Blow up the car.
This one seems even bigger than usual.
Yeah, especially those fingernails.
So
They're
gross.
are those fingernails?
Those are indeed fingernails.
Can you imagine trying to trim those suckers?
It would take forever, and like his nail
So-
polish bill must be just extravagant.
You need like an industrial grinder.
Pip Benet says the aft of the graft.
Oh,
That's
I get
good.
it.
That's
I get
good.
it. I saw this on Twitter a couple days ago, and I was like, I wonder if that's a typo.
The Grafton monster is face first in a building, so he's posed by the posterior of the monster.
Mm-hmm. Grafton butt.
Oh my goodness, I'm sorry, I have to talk about Rick's comment. He says, I hope someone makes a mod where the monster is red and furry.
Oh, that would be so good.
I would love that so much.
For our younger audio listeners, the red furry monster is a callback to Looney Tunes.
Yeah, that would be so great.
He was the what did he do in the? I can't remember. What was his name?
I don't remember his name, but
I just remember having a T-shirt with him on it,
it was
when I
so
was little.
funny.
Yeah. gonna look
Tasman
it up.
14622 says, this was a diseased Grafton monster fighting me and some Scorched near Charleston in the Capitol building. It's like purple. Look at that.
Gossamer.
They have got so many different monster designs. They look so good.
Mm-hmm.
Lee Binge, and I can't read all those numbers. Lee Benjamin says, Karak soon, Lee Benjamin on PC, took down the Grafton monster with newly met new kid 54321.
Oh, they made friends. That's
That is
nice.
so neat. Bonding
That
over
should be-
the death of a monster?
That should be a challenge. Make friends in the wasteland.
That would
and
be
take a picture.
great challenge. That would be a good one. We'll do that.
People would think you're attacking them. You'd be like, hey, I just want to take a picture.
Selfie.
Can you imagine if it was like two people that listened to the show ran into each other and took a picture?
I would love that. That would be really neat. They would both
That'd
be
be
trying
cool.
to do the challenge at the same time. Walk Cloud 76 says first time submitting, and he's here in what is this location? Is this Grafton? It is Grafton. You can see this is by the Grafton train station. Yeah.
Oh,
in
yeah, it
full
says
power
Grafton.
armor. Thank you for submitting your first challenge. That's awesome.
Nice.
Courier Ghoulish says, my girlfriend screams, so I come running over. She's running away from it, and I'm like, no, we have to kill it for that Fallout show.
And now we have a new listener.
That is amazing. I love that.
Oh. That's awesome. Thanks, Ghoulish Courier.
TFA Dat says, I have eyes on the target. Unlike the target.
Man, our listeners are really funny.
They're clever. They are clever.
Oh, so good.
So, his character is wearing the fisherman's hat with the pastor's vestments.
Yeah. And it looks like a gas mask, too.
I think so, yeah. That's
Yeah.
so great.
That's pretty good.
Marine Mustang says, what's this thing doing in Charleston? And this is an incredible screenshot with that bridge in the background.
Yeah, it's really nice. It looks like something from Fallout 3, actually.
Yeah, it looks like concept art. It looks like Fallout
Yeah.
concept art. It's that pretty.
Yeah. Good job.
David He Does It says, big gun for big game. Oh, and he's wearing this awesome, like, Viking helmet with a skull face.
Is that Grognak?
No, that's not Grognak.
Oh, okay. Yeah, what is that outfit?
I don't know, but it's really cool. And
Is that a Gatling laser? I think it's
I believe it is a Gatling laser. Rick says, how many entries are there? I told you, Rick, there are 8,000 of them.
There's a billion. You guys go make some popcorn.
We may have to start truncating them in the future, but this time I wanted to include them all. Shaunathon Edwards says, dadgum old Grifton monster ain't be giving no more griefing.
Wow, you done that well.
He's wearing the Fire Breathers outfit, which looks amazing next to his Grafton
I love the
monster.
red motif with the tree and the shadows. It's very nice. Nice
Yeah.
touch.
Feldon Woodwind says, I was so scared.
Look at him standing there with his gun still out, like he thinks it's gonna come back to life.
Yeah, it's really good entry. Really good.
Yeah.
Oh, here's mine. For this week's TFS challenge, Rick and I cleaned up the White Springs Golf Course, hole 3. Or was it the second hole 3? Rick is doing a salute in a full suit of power armor, and I am, okay, this is on my Jim Justice character, just to make that clear.
Oh, is that the dress you bought when we went
And
shopping?
I'm wearing the Mistress of Mystery dress.
Oh.
And a cowboy hat. So it looks real good. We killed a Grafton monster, by which I mean Rick killed a Grafton monster, but... yeah.
What if there's like this whole lore that like the Grafton monster is really just scared of everybody?
Uh-huh.
And he just wants a friend?
That would be so funny.
It would be super cute if I just like walked around the corner and saw the Grafton monster like playing with butterflies or something.
And they're like these gentle giants. They just want to be left alone. Goobier says, bagged me a big boy by Poseidon Energy. No clue who the guy in the power armor is, but I'm glad he showed up.
That's a few now that have
Yeah.
had friends come to the rescue.
And I love that this guy in the power armor stayed for the photo.
Yeah.
Okay, and now that brings us back to Cat and Bones. So that is all 21 entries. Thank you,
Oh, that's
everyone,
awesome.
for submitting. That was amazing.
What a journey. I'm not even... I think that's like just the right amount.
It was really good.
Yeah. So what's our next challenge, Shaline?
Well, I was thinking, since it is flu season, let's see how many horrible diseases you can catch. And you can submit a screenshot of the thing that gave it to you.
Oh, so eat all of the raw meat, all the berries, everything you can pick up off the ground.
Get yourself licked by a snallygaster.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll be a good time. And
Throw
how
up
can
on
they
your friends.
How can they submit those entries, Vendor?
Well, you can submit your entries to us on Twitter by going
I'm sorry.
to...
I'm sorry. The news bumper came back on. I'm sorry.
You can submit the entries on Twitter by posting a screenshot, uploading it to Twitter, and making sure that you include our Twitter handle at We Just Love Games. So tweet at us at We Just Love Games and include the hashtag TFS Challenge. If you do not include the hashtag, we will miss you, because that is what we use to search for all of the challenge entries to upload them onto the show.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Archon says, "Oh man, I already don't like this challenge."
Oh, I know, right?
Be sure you pick up some disease cures first.
You know what, you guys? I always eat all of the bad stuff. Like, I pick all the berries. I eat them. The raw meat. Sometimes I eat spoiled meat. Yeah.
That's so
hey, man,
amazing.
It's survival.
So were you like an alchemist in Skyrim, just like noshing on all the giants' toes and everything?
Yeah.
That's so great. I
I
love
just
it.
ate all the things. Did we get any Pipboard entries?
We didn't. No, we don't get a ton
Okay.
of those, but I check it every time. So if you would like to post your high score at any of the Pip-Boy games in Fallout 76 or Fallout 4, or your high score on any of the Nuke-Arcade games or the Shooting Gallery, anything that records your score and you can post a screenshot, then post that using the hashtag Pipboard.
Ah, nice. So there's a new thing that you want to talk about today, Shaline?
Yeah, we have a sort of a new segment, a bit of a one-off.
All right, tell me about it. When you're finished drinking your tea. Sorry.
I just thought we might take a little time and talk about 3 things that Fallout 76 does right and 3 changes that we would make. Just in case anybody out there in Bethesda land is listening to us, we can give some advice on some of the things that we enjoy and some of the things that we can maybe improve. And maybe we could take turns doing this or something. I don't know. What do you want to
Okay, so let's start with the good or the bad?
Let's start with the good and let's try and keep the bad productive.
Okay, so 3 things 76 does right. Let me see now. That's a tough one. I'd have to say the player-to-player interactions is really nice. The fact that you can, throw up an emote, give a thumbs up, and trade and sell things. I think that's pretty cool. Though I haven't actually had pin drop silence. Everybody in the chat's like, you have nothing to say. No, I have a few things. So the player to player interactions is good. And I also think that they've nailed the photo mode.
Yeah.
The photo mode is pretty damn good. I also like that they have allowed the ability for you to layer your clothing. So you can put armor on under your pastor's vestments or your mistress of mystery dress if you want. So those are my 3.
Neat. Well, you used a couple of mine. I also love
I'm
photo mode,
sorry.
but I can come up with 3 more. I really think something that they nailed is environmental storytelling. You know, I think they knocked it out of the park. The audio logs, I'm highly invested in them. I've heard a lot of people like on the internet do not love the holotapes, but I love the holotapes, and I would like more of them. I really love the holotapes. Environmental storytelling was absolutely done right. Something else that was done right is the soundtrack. The ambient music is maybe some of Einenzer's best work, and I'm a huge fan of Zer and all of his video game scores, but this score is incredible. Also, the radio soundtrack is incredible for this game. I love it. All that Tennessee Ernie Ford, it's really good. I love the radio. I love the radio.
I would like to scrap my first choice and say that I think the best thing that they ever could have done was put robots everywhere.
Absolutely.
That was by far the best thing they've ever done.
And let's see. Third thing is gonna be probably the sense of being afraid in this game. You know, the survival elements add to that. The multiplayer aspect adds to that. Footsteps are just utterly terrifying now. Like, I find myself... The other day, I was in this house, right? I went to this house for a quest marker, and I heard footsteps. I assumed that it was ghouls or scorched, so I hid next to the door. I pulled out my little hunting rifle, and around the corner comes like a human being, right? And he sees me and just freezes. And I was like, hello? Do a little wave?
Yeah.
And we ended up, you know, looting the house together and then going our separate ways. But for a moment, we were both utterly terrified. And that's what it would be like running into someone in the apocalypse, you know? That's absolutely... True. I think they nailed that sense of fear that should be present in a Fallout game. And I just want to read Rick's done right. 1, lore. 2, team pay. I assume he meant play. And 3, location. So those are Rick's 3. Couldn't agree with those more. So what are your 3 things that you would improve? I know it may be hard to limit it to 3. But...
it's so funny. Well, the first thing I think that I would improve on is the building. Yeah, the building's quite clunky. And I tried building in Fallout 4 on PC and I didn't like it. So, and I loved the building on PS4. So I'm not sure what made it any different. The second thing would have to be... I don't know how I feel about the atomic shop.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't like that they're charging more money for things in game. I don't like that. I don't think that they have the right to yet.
It's an interesting take on it.
Yeah, I don't think they have the right to charge people more money for stuff that they have to fix anyways. So, and the last one, I would like them to improve and refine the quest lines. The quest lines for me are the most important part of the game. And almost, I would say about 60% of the quest lines that I've done have been broken. So if I were to make any changes, that's probably where I would start.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Those are very good changes. I'm going to scroll back up and read Rick's. Communication is number 1. I think that's absolutely a good one. His number 2 is hot fixes and updates. And his number 3 is servers. So
Can we just read off a few in chat?
go right ahead.
So House of Hooligans says the ability to play with friends. And then his second one is C number 1. Oh man. Sean 117 says number 1 stash size, which that's coming with the next update. They're increasing it to 600. Number 2 leveled weapons, and number 3 there's no actual damage on nukes.
Interesting.
So yeah, I would imagine that's a PvP thing that they avoided. But what about you, Shaline? 3 changes.
The first thing that I would change is I love the lore in the game. I love what they've done. But maybe they could spread it out a little more. You know, sometimes you get to a location and you read a single terminal and there's a really cool story on that single terminal. And there's some more information on a holotape that's sitting right next to the terminal. But then you explore the location and there's really nothing left to discover, you know?
Oh, yeah. Silver platter.
Yeah. I think they could maybe tuck away some of those nuggets, you know, and make you work a little to find them, make them missable, you know? Another thing that I would change is... And I don't know if this is even possible with an always online game. I may be asking for too much. But I want to be able to pick stuff up and look at it and move it around.
That's always drive me crazy.
If I have to build a stupid camp, I want to be able to put teddy bears on the shelves and leave them there. And this may be something that's impossible. This may be an impossible ask. I don't know if something about having an online game and moving from server to server makes this undoable. But I would love to be able to pick up and inspect things, hold them up, you know, toss something at one of my companions. I think that's something that I miss really much from previous Bethesda titles. Another thing that I would change is a simple one, and that's performance. You know, my computer is pretty okay. You know, it's not top of the line, but it's not trash. But even on the lowest settings, I was getting like 2 frames a second. It was like watching a slideshow, you know.
But you're not going to have to worry about that anymore.
Yeah, that's exciting. I did buy a new PC. My mom kicked in on that a bunch, and that'll be my Christmas gift this year.
You should get her to play Fallout 76 with you online.
Oh, that would be amazing. Shout out to my mom. Everybody send good vibes to my mom for my new PC that I'm going to get, which is cool. And yeah, I think that, you know, performance is terrible on PC especially. So fix that. And that's my 3. Are there any more in chat?
Nah, let's just move on into our lore segment.
Yay, I love lore. Why don't we have a lore bumper, Rick?
We should have
Get
a
on
lore
that.
bumper.
We need a lore bumper.
Yeah.
So this lore, do you want me to take the lore?
Yeah, please.
Okay. This lore is about Mama Dolces, and Mama Dolces is it's most notable from Fallout 3. In the Fallout canon, Mama Dolces at first glance is a food production and shipping company, but it's actually a front for the People's Liberation Army, a Chinese intelligence gathering and espionage ring in the DC and surrounding area. The Fallout 3 location is in the Arlington Cemetery. There are 3 wings: food processing, shipping, and a loading yard. It's guarded by Chinese remnant soldiers, and I remember how shocked I was to run into those guys the first
Yeah.
time I played through that location.
'Cause they were kind of one of a kind, hey?
Yeah, yeah.
Is that where you find the Chinese officer's sword too?
You can find a Chinese officer's sword there for sure.
It's not like an exclusive item on the map. No.
I don't think so. You can find out what the Chinese ghouls are saying when they shout in Chinese by turning on the subtitles. Some notable quotes: "Die, American! Victory at last!" And when you kill them, "Not by you." On the encrypted computer, it can be noted that the food flavorant is the same as the printer ink. I love that. I just love that. They used wood as filler in their food products as another cost-cutting measure, using a byproduct from a regional lumber affiliate. So, yeah, that sounds about right.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's happening in real life.
Same.
Ever had a Kubi burger?
That must be Canadian.
It's like a chicken burger, basically, that's breaded.
So, oh wow, Rick says a type of wood filler is actually used in foodstuffs. I would rather not know about this. I'm sure it's something that I like.
Oh, I stand corrected. Kubi burgers are kubisaw. Have you ever had kubisaw?
I don't know what that is. I've never heard
It's
of
like
it.
it's like sausage.
Mm,
You know what?
okay.
I'm gonna send you some kubisaw
So
without
do
the wood.
Do it. In Fallout 76, there is a Mama Dolce's location in Morgantown. It's the location of the Feed the People event, in which you can make stew for the entire server, which is something that I did during my playtime. I went to Morgantown. All my quests were gone. It was bad. They just disappeared from the Pip-Boy. I had to restart. They came back, and it was good. So I made everyone some stew. Mama Dolce's was a pre-war company that manufactured Blamco brand mac and cheese, Cram, Instamash, Salisbury steak, sugar bombs, and numerous other processed foods. The company also served as a front for Chinese intelligence, with their Arlington and Morgantown factories being the base of operations for infiltrators in that area. The Morgantown factory hides the Fuginia intelligence base and is occupied by Protectron and Liberator model robots, still guarding the base from outsiders. I explored that, I thought, pretty thoroughly, but I did not find this base. Terminal in a train station notes that there are a lot of shipments from Mama Dolce's, which was odd considering that priority was only given to military shipments. So now we know where those Liberator bots came from. Yeah, that's our lore for this podcast.
I just love Mama Dolce's.
We've also got a weapon of the week for you. Do you want to take this one?
Sure. The weapon of the week, Death Tambo.
I love the Death Tambo.
I wish I had a tambourine to make that.
The noise.
Rick has it on his phone.
We need a soundboard.
Oh man. This is an unarmed weapon. And it's a weaponized tambourine, basically with spikes. They've cut notches into the tambourine metal parts to make them spiky. And there's a handle that you hold on one end, and then spikes on the receiving end. It's pretty awesome. The zills, or the metal jingles, are left intact, and the weapon makes a musical jingling noise when you strike your enemies. It's a medium speed weapon. It's one of 3 musical-themed weapons in Fallout 76, and you can get one from Rose's questline at the top of the world. Or, using rank 4 of the Makeshift Warrior perk, you can craft one with copper, oil, rubber, and steel.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I love the Death Tambo. It's one of my favorites. Rick McVick says, "My zills, they jingle, jingle, jingle."
Yeah.
That's so
He was
great.
waiting. He was waiting to use that one.
Yes, indeed. So let's move on. Let's move on to our listener emails section. Why don't you read the email, and then after that, I will read the snail mail.
Great. So the email comes from Dylan. Dylan had to scroll down there. Dylan says, hey guys, first off, I want to apologize as this will probably get pretty lengthy. I also want to note that I've been enjoying my time with Fallout 76 and plan to continue playing. However, I understand the anger players are experiencing with this broken, honestly ugly, half-assed game. As someone who has platinum both Fallout 4 and Skyrim and have ashamedly put a combined 5,000 hours in both games, I see the lore and the environmental storytelling in this game with the little bit of time I've put into it so far, roughly about 10 or 15 hours. I've actually liked it so far, although I thought I would. I actually wouldn't. I like the longer holotape diaries. I've enjoyed the lengthy terminal entries as they paint pictures that allow my imagination to fill in the holes. I have thoroughly enjoyed my time with this game. That being said, I would not recommend this game to anyone. I'm enjoying it because I'm so invested in the lore that Bethesda has created in the past, and that seems to be one single shining star of this game. I would agree with that. Everywhere you turn, there is more story to uncover. I do not believe that anyone who is not this invested or who is wanting to play a fun video game would enjoy this game for reasons that we all know. Simply put, bad graphics, bad gameplay, massive performance issues equals bad game. On top of this, just Bethesda is handling it not very well. Refusing refunds, telling customers we don't plan on doing anything about it. When asked why the bag they received with the Power Armor Edition was not as advertised. That's what I was mentioning earlier, but I just couldn't remember what exactly they had said. And not exactly being punctual with their patches. A 33 gig patch on day 2, actually I think it was 59 on PC users, fixed no performance issues for me personally. I would agree. I'm not even sure that Fallout 4 size patch was what it was for. Although I'm enjoying my time with this game, I recognize its overwhelming flaws, and given Bethesda's track record with customer service over the last year or so, unless they take a hard 180, I don't see this getting any better. It makes me sad because this is a company that has given me 5,000 hours of blissful entertainment with their products, and then they take a crap on a disc and put a big scar on this franchise. I don't know. We'll get to that in a minute. The reception the game is getting honestly has me worried about the state of Bethesda, the future of the Fallout franchise, and even the future of Bethesda games, period. Sorry this is so long, but I love your shows. Been a follower since episode 1, the real episode 1. Thanks for reading and giving me an outlet to rant, Dylan. P.S. Rick, how dare you talk down to the Red Dead Redemption soundtrack? Do you even have ears? Drops mic.
People hated that you guys were not behind the Red Dead soundtrack, man.
You guys?
People hated that.
Are you throwing me under that?
I am.
But did I say that I didn't like the Red Dead? I haven't even heard the soundtrack.
I know, yeah. But it was funny. People really hated that. I think we've had more negative feedback on that than anything in the history of GameStack. But yeah, what are your thoughts on Dylan's email?
So I think that what's happening with Bethesda is a shadow of what's happening in the game industry overall. Mm-hmm. It's not a localized thing. We're seeing this across the board, and it's because the industry is transforming. It's going through an evolutionary phase right now, and people can't adjust to it. It's too much change. Companies can't adjust to it. They can't adapt to it. And so I don't know. Are we looking at another 1983 video game crash?
No, we're not.
I mean, look at the stocks, man. They're tanking.
Yeah, they are.
All I can say is lucky for Bethesda, they are not publicly traded. Because, man, it would be bad. It would be so bad.
I absolutely agree, guys, like that this game should never have released in this condition. I absolutely agree with that. I recognize that there are some real problems with this game. But I also think that just because the game is rough now does not mean that it's going to continue to be rough. I think there's a lot of hope for this game. And I certainly don't think it's killed the franchise or killed Bethesda. I think that's a lot of hyperbole to say that. I really do. I think the game is rough now. I think they're going to work hard, and I think they're going to improve it. I absolutely, Bethesda has had terrible customer service, but customer service department, like with their store, is not at all related to the developers. You know, those are different departments, you know.
Oh man, the store is such a disaster.
The store is a disaster. But those are different departments. And I think that, I think they're working hard to fix these problems. Bethesda Studios did not want to release a game that people hated. They did not want to release a game with massive problems. They don't want people to be laughing at this and saying that it's killed the franchise, you know? They want to take our feedback and they want to fix it. And I think that's what they're going to do, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you guys can replay this clip to me 6 months from now and I'll be eating crow. But I don't think so. I don't think so.
I think that like there's obviously some things that need to be fixed about the game itself. And I'm okay with that. It's all the other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's all the other management stuff that's going on. And my experience overall in even just trying to get a game. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm a little bit worried though about the gaming industry. I don't know how things are going to adapt and people are going to and gamers as a demographic are very charged people.
I feel like everyone in the world is very charged right now about everything. You can't make a statement on anything without it turning into a huge controversy, you know?
Yeah, it's true.
I've noticed the people that I follow on Twitter who say like, hey, you know, Fallout 76 is trash. That's their opinion. They're allowed to have their opinion. Their mentions are full of people who are like, hey, I like the game. Mm-hmm. And when somebody says, hey, I'm having a great time playing Fallout 76, their mentions are full of people saying, this game is trash. How dare you like this game?
Yeah. I think that I hate to say it, but I think political uncertainty breeds a lot of that because the general population really has this overly high skepticism.
Yeah.
Society's very vulnerable right now.
Everybody seems to want to take a very hard line and nobody's willing to let anybody, you know, be different.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and read this letter that we got in the mail.
Ooh.
Okay,
ready?
A
hard letter? Is it handwritten?
Yes. With a goose quill, I believe.
You're kidding.
The ink is likely made from the blood of his enemies.
Oh, I see.
so let's just do a little read here. Shaline, I hope this note finds you, Vendor, and Rick well. I have been a fan of the Fallout series since the first, and also of your show since it all started back before the release of Fallout 4. I have never missed listening to an episode, though it is rare that I get to enjoy them live. Most of them I have to listen to on podcast, as working for the post office, my hours are all over the place. Your show is extremely entertaining and informative, even when it goes off the rails. And I wish you all continued success with all of your podcast endeavors. This is so kind.
Oh, thanks.
I have enclosed a perk pack and a set of 32 different perk cards. As you know, perk cards are meant to be shared with friends, provided you have a charisma of at least 3. So please be sure to send some of them to Rick and Vendor. Hopefully Canada Post strike will be over, so there will be no delay for Vendor.
Oh, that's probably why I haven't got mine.
I was hoping to explore the wasteland with some of you, but I'm playing on PS4 as my computer graphics card is a wee bit old. But that day may happen down the road when I upgrade, as I'm sure this game will be running for quite some time. Again, thank you for sharing all your stories, news, gameplay, and laughs. Stay safe in Appalachia. Felden Woodwind.
Ah, Felden Woodwind.
Yes, I did receive your package. Thank you so much. And I mailed some of the perk cards to both Rick and Vendor. This, for our video folks, is what the perk card pack looks like. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
I love it. It's really cool.
I love it. I can't wait to get mine. Thank you so much. That's very nice of you.
Felden is
We'll-
in chat right now.
We'll have to touch base with you and send you some We Just Love Games goodies.
You're right. We should send some stickers.
Yeah.
And here's an example of one of the cards. This is the Master Hacker perk. And then we have, they turned out really good. Aren't they great? The backs look like this. Let me just kind of like fan them out so you see some of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that, the Gladiator perk. I really like that. For the audio folks, these are they're life size. You know, they're perfect. They're really cool. Really, really
That's
cool.
pretty awesome.
I love them. So thank you for that.
Yeah, he's in the chat right now. Says you guys are very welcome. Love the show. Might be the last live one till after the holidays, and you know how busy work can get this time of year. Boy, do we ever! I haven't touched a video game for 3 weeks.
Archon says something really interesting about, I believe, the previous email. Younger players are more prone to express things as extremes as they have fewer experiences to compare against.
What?
Yeah, I know.
Cyberred Panda says, by the way, guys, because of you and Critical Role, I got myself a month of Loot Crate.
Hey, that's cool. It's very
Hey,
cool.
everybody
I hope you enjoy
wins.
it.
Everybody wins except Bethesda. Oh, that's awesome. You could feel free to send us all the treats. Just send us. I want all the treats.
But thank you,
great.
Felden.
Yeah,
this is
thank
a
you.
really special gift. Really special gift. And yeah, I'll definitely I've been keeping the perk card pack over there by my perfectly preserved pie. That's how highly I esteem it. So
Oh man, I'm like, I just want to like, maybe I'll frame mine. How many's in the pack?
I don't know. I kept the pack because I am selfish. There was only one pack. I kept it because I am selfish.
Oh, I see.
And
I
I'm
see,
not
I see.
opening it. I'm going to leave it sealed. I sent you guys a third of them, so I think it's probably about 13 of the loose cards. So
Between the two of us, or 13 each?
each.
Oh wow.
Each, yeah.
Okay.
I just split it up 3 ways for the loose
I see.
cards.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I'm really curious now which ones
Yeah.
you picked.
Felden says, "Don't open it. I wasn't planning to. I'm never going to open it."
Oh
So-
man.
Yeah. So do you have anything else for the podcast, or is that a show?
Other than an eyelash in my eye just now, no, nothing else.
Okay, I think that's a wrap. Before we go, I just want to remind you again, please go and support ASA Podcasting's Cystic Fibrosis Charity live stream December 8th from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Time. December 8th, 9 a.m. Eastern Time to 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Definitely support those guys as they stream for a very good cause. All of the proceeds go to the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation, and we really encourage you to do that. We won't be able to be there, but I'll try and maybe pop in chat if I can. Vendor, will we be doing the Young and the Council this weekend?
Does a chicken have a pecker?
I'm going to take that as a yes.
Yeah.
The Young and the Council will do an episode on Sunday evening. Watch the social media for that. You can follow us on Twitter. That's usually the place where we're easiest to be reached on social media. That Fallout Show, We Just Love Games, Rick McVick, Shaline L, and Vendortron N. We are also on Facebook, and we do try to respond to Facebook messages and group posts as well. Facebook.com/thatfalloutshow, Facebook.com/groups/thatfalloutshow. You can email us, info@wejustlovegames.com. We love your emails. Please keep sending those. And that absolutely makes you a part of the show. You know, that's an important part of the content that we bring. If you're watching the video version, like and subscribe. It'll be up on Twitch for a few weeks until it cycles out, and it'll be up forever on youtube.com/wejustlovegames. If you'd like to join us live, we go live at 6:30 Mountain Time, 8:30 Eastern Time every other Friday with that Fallout Show. The alternating Fridays are Game Stack Podcast, our general gaming show, on twitch.tv/wejustlovegames. The audio version is on iTunes and Stitcher and gramophones, holotapes. You can find it everywhere. Leave us a review on iTunes. We'll shout you out at the beginning of the show. If you like this show, you'll probably also like Game Stack, our general gaming podcast where we talk about all the other things we've been playing. I have made some progress on my quest to catch up on the Assassin's Creed series, so we'll talk about that, among many other things. Vendor, do you have a last word?
A smile will get you far, but a smile and a gun will get you farther.
Good night, everybody.
Shaline, Rick, Vendortron, take us on a trip. Radiation glowing, mutants all around. Sometimes we laugh, sometimes we cry, but we know no matter what, we'll always have the time. Talk about the wastelands, talk about the Lord, talk about surviving radiation storms, talk about the doubts, talk about the fears, talk about the game we all love. It's Fallout through the years. That